A very good evening, dear friends. Today I'll analyze the poem Fool and Flea by Jeet. Thayil. Before I start the critical appreciation of the poem, let us understand the difference between metaphorical and metaphysical. Metaphorical is something which is beyond the literal sense. I have got few of the synonyms of metaphorical, like it can be figurative, it can be allegorical, analogous, symbolic, or emblematic. That is, on reading it, straight away we get the image of a particular expression which is not referred there in the literal sense, but it has got some indirect reference. So it can be indirection, indirection. Catch my words, indirection, indirection, or something which is compared, something which is having a moral proclamation, something which has got an image build up there on reading by way of the words. So that is what you call metaphorical. This metaphorical, when extends beyond the physical state to the transcendental state, it becomes metaphysical. So there must be a clarity in our mind that what exactly is metaphorical and what is metaphysical. So metaphysical is something which is referred indirectly, and metaphysics is beyond the physical scope when it exceeds the when it supersedes the barrier of physicality and it enters into the transcendental stage of comparisons. Now the poem is right in front of us. I'll read the poem. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here to join together this fool and this flea in holy matrimony. Now there is a matrimonial alliance of this fool and this flea. Catch my words, this fool and this flea. So a bridegroom and a bride are getting married. Now who is the bridegroom? The fool is the bridegroom. Who is the bride? Flea is the bride. Why Flea has been referred here as the bride? Now there is a kind of criticism which the poet wants to put up in a very mesogamist fashion. Why I put up the word mesogamist? Why? Because the poet seems to be against the very matrimonial alliance or the very institution of marriage. So he considers every bridegroom to be a fool and every bride to be a bloodsucker or a flea. Now, I am not generalizing this statement, I am just trying to critically review what the poet intends to say. So, this fool, who is a fool? The bridegroom. He is working endlessly, he is workaholic, but he is short of intellect and short of respect also. Respect in the eyes of his wife. Now he is working hard, but somebody who is waiting to ponder upon the earnings of her husband, who is that? The flea. Let us see the second paragraph. Fool will sing, flea will suck. Now why fool will sing? Fool will sing the romantic tale, the happy going. Why? Because he has been married now. Now he is quite happy there with the situations that why because he has got a life partner. But on the other hand, Flea is just a bloodsucker. She is waiting for the earnings of her husband, and the moment she gets all the earnings, the material gains, she'll try to ponder upon them like a parasite and enjoy the life. So fool is helpless, cannot do much. Now he is in the habit of earning, he is in the habit of getting more and more, and the capacity on the other hand of flea is also getting inflated. So both are on the wrong track. Fool must stop and ask or teach his wife they to have a sensibility. But since fool is short of that intellect, he is not aware of the very purpose of sitting and asking for that love. He is just working, walking, walking, working, working, working endlessly in his job. So what is the eventuality? Both are not satisfied. Why? Because the extra pondering upon the wealth or the material gains is also of no importance, and the extra working hard is also of no use. So both are following the extreme means, one of doing the work endlessly and another of enjoying the wealth endlessly. So both will have a wrong impact. So eventually both try to put up a solace. Both are not happy, but there is, as it is referred there in the second paragraph, there is a virtue of obedience. Obedience does not mean that both are abiding by each other's values. Both are actually poles apart. But since the social acceptance or the social setup of our society is like this, that they have to pretend that they have got a very happily settled life and they are living the life happily, but actually they are not living a very happy life. So that is the virtue of obedience. Virtue of obedience is just like the holy matrimony. Holy matrimony was a sarcastic expression, and so is virtue of obedience, which actually is nowhere to be seen. This obedience is actually a compromise they tend to build up on account of living in a social setup where they will face all sort of scandal mongering and all sort of backbiting or things like that. In order to avoid, fool is trying his best to come to the instructive zone of his wife and abide by all the instructions given by her. Fool will give up his freedom, flea will give up whatever chance she may have had at happiness. Why fool will give up his freedom? Why? Because he has no other job than to work hard. So moment he gets back to his home, he'll get ready for another day of work. So there is no freedom for him. But the happiness which cannot be attained or acquired or procured by only and only the material gains, that is the problem there with the flea. Flea will have all sort of money, all sort of wealth, all sort of commodities attained through wealth, but that happiness which cannot be extracted out of the material gains, that happiness is missing somewhere. So the amount of lack, the element of lack is existing both in the life of fool and the flea. So what would be the eventuality? Both will die. Fool first out of working hard. Why? Because after exhausting himself and after physically getting weak, one day, as he is a mortal being, he has to die. So he will kiss the dust. Flea so full, she shall burst. Flea will also die, but again a sarcastic reference is there. Flea will die not because she was working hard, because she was eating or she was enjoying too much of acquiring wealth, too much of what you call platonic life, or too much of affluent life at the cost of others. This kind of life, when you try to extract the wealth from others and you try to enjoy at the cost of others, this life will also have an eventuality which is in the form of death. So the last paragraph refers to the salvation of two kinds. The first salvation is of the fool who was suffering. This salvation is of a sufferer. The second salvation is of flea who is a sinner. Now, the sufferer will also get the salvation and the sinner will also get the salvation. So this is the biblical norm. So this is how the poem can be connected with the biblical account also. So in a way, a very meaningful and a very nice poem which has got a very good message that you have to give respect to get respect. You have to show the equal amount of regard to your better half for a proper survival, and otherwise it is part and parcel of the syllabi of many students. In case they have got uh, something out of my lecture, so I would be the happiest person on this earth, and I'll try my best to add on there with many more lectures. Keep watching, have a nice time. Bye bye.